I'm just not very tall. Corey built this cart.
I sure did.
Works awesome. There's so many of these motors out there, on pontoon boats especially. Hey, it's Tom from Tom's Toons. Today we're going to show you how to uninstall this 28 special. This is an old, probably mid-80s. This is a Johnson 28 special. There is an Evinrude. They're the same engine, just different paint jobs, different label. We're going to take our shift throttle cables as well as the ignition harness out, and we'll show you how to undo the steering too. So we're going to start with our shift cable. This style, it's all on the outside of the engine. It's a 3/8 inch socket. I'll put my hardware back so I have it. This motor is toast. It overheated, so we're not doing anything with it. We'll do another video of installing the new Suzuki 4-stroke that's going on this boat, so stay tuned for that. But there's so many of these motors out there, on pontoon boats especially, the 28 special. It was an engine that people liked and they kept making them for a long time, so we see a lot of them out there really all the way into the, well into the 90s. We've got our shift cable off. Come around to the other side, and we're gonna take our throttle cable off. Doesn't require any tools on this. There's just a clip. I'm gonna pop that off. And then the way that these cables work, if you're reinstalling them later, maybe you're redoing your transom, just need to take the motor off, that's fine. This cable hits on the post, and both the shift and throttle, to get them centered where you want, this barrel turns, which lengthens the cable or pulls the cable shorter. So to get the throttle backed all the way down, I might have to adjust this barrel. That's what it's there for. In this case, we're just doing away with it. So I take my cable, I'm gonna turn it vertical, and then it pops right out. To go back in, it's the opposite direction. Let's go to the steering. 9/16. These are all pretty much universal, but we're gonna go ahead and loosen this one off. Be a good idea before we put the new engine on, we'll grease up the actual stainless steering cable end. There's a post that goes through the engine and pushes and pulls to steer the engine. In a perfect world, there would be a plastic fitting there with a little rubber grommet or O-ring to keep water out. That keeps corrosion from happening. But this is just going to drop off. There's a washer on the top and bottom typically. Pop that right out. And we'll put the hardware back for the next person. Your steering cable is held in place, so the sheathing is held in place by this big nut. I'm going to turn that, but as you see, that's going to turn on most cases, even brand new motors. This is going to turn. That's the whole steering tube. I need just this aluminum nut to turn, so I'm going to grab a second wrench. Channel locks will do the trick, or an adjustable wrench. So I'm just going to get that locked onto that nut that's a part of the motor, and then I'm going to turn this aluminum nut away from it. Now that I've loosened my aluminum nut just a little bit, it should turn without turning the rest of the mechanism. I remove that nut. Now my whole cable can pull through. If you're in tight quarters here, sometimes your cable comes out through a little hole, or if it's a fishing style boat, that might be the case. You can shorten that rod by pushing it in from the other side, and that way I can get the angle to pull. Occasionally, we'll have to remove the engine in order to get the steering cable out. That's not uncommon. Clean it up really well, grease it up, and we'll use it on the new engine. It's a perfectly good steering system. We've got that all unhooked. Underneath the hood, this motor has what we call the red plug. This is the ignition harness. This is what starts the engine, stops the engine, has the all those features for electrical. That's just a big connector. We're gonna unplug that. So this will stay on the engine. This, I'm gonna fish my way back out. You have to kind of go under and around some wires. And then depending how it's routed, we have a couple of 3/8 inch nuts in the front here. I'm gonna have to undo. Just a little rigging grommet that holds everything in place. And they both should be this 3/8 inch head on the bolt, but of course, it's an old motor. Somebody got in here at one point and this bolt changed to a 7/16. So I'm gonna grab a 7/16 socket, we'll pull that, and that'll give us room to pull everything through. The battery cables are blocking it, so battery cables could unhook from the engine. We're just gonna pull them through. Now my red plug is out. We'll run those battery cables back in. We can put the hood back on now. We're done inside. And the last thing to do is to actually unbolt and unclamp our motor. Normally we'd use something a little bit beefier, 5/16, in addition to the clamps. So it does have motor clamps, but on a pontoon, or really any boat for that matter, we should bolt it on. Use nylock nuts, stainless hardware. In the words of Benny D, everything's a hammer. Last thing to do is undo these clamps. We are going to put a new transom board in here, and we'll probably do a little bit of welding because it's fun to reinforce. Corey built this cart.
I sure did.
Works awesome for these. About up to 40 horse we do on these. That guy's off. We'll redo the transom and we'll get ready for the new motor. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this helped you out. If it did, please comment, like, and subscribe below. If it helped you that much, please consider contributing to our buymeacoffee.com account. It's buymeacoffee.com/TomsToons. Thank you.